Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is in fact League Unlocked. My name's Eric here with Mark, and we're just you gotta take a deep breath after this off season, and it's only been a couple of weeks really, but you gotta step back and take a look at what was, because Mark, it's been a little insane.
It's been crazy, and I know that we say crazy, spicy, hype things up quite a bit. That's what we do here on League Unlocked, but you gotta realize what we have going on this offseason, comparing it to past off seasons, the absolute gravity of some of these decisions, some of these transactions. I don't know if we've ever had I don't think we've ever had an off season that has had moves, bombshell moves like this, one after the other. There's been so many that it's even hard to decide what is the biggest bombshell.
And we're still waiting for a lot of big name guys like Chovy to find out where they're actually going to end up. But already so far, the big three we're talking are C9 Perkz, G2 Rekkles, and Bjergsen retiring. Any one of those happen in another offseason, it's like the headline, the biggest move that's happened. And we had all three in a single one. So today we got to say, what was the most mind-blowing, or what has been the craziest of those three this offseason? You could probably make a case for all three.
You take the last half decade and you look at Western League of Legends and you say, who are the guys carrying the pillars for the scene? Well, you'd be saying Bjergsen, Rekkles, and Perkz. Those would be the names that would be at the very tip of your tongue, talking
and faces of their franchise, respectively.
Right. And to see all three either, have Bjergsen leave the scene, Rekkles swap to the rival, Perkz go overseas. Oh my Lord, it has been groundbreaking.
And to pick which is the craziest, I mean, if you start with the Bjergsen one, I think that might be the most shocking because there was no lead up to it. At least we had some of the rumors with Perkz and Rekkles, even though you and I both thought both of those rumors sounded ridiculous at the time. The Bjergsen one, all it was boom, YouTube video, I'm retiring. No one really saw that coming.
And the problem with it is you had an idea in the past couple of bits of what could happen, why it might, why you might see Bjergsen leave the scene, but you didn't think it would be this year. And especially after the performance at Worlds and how poor it was, you figured that you can't go out on a disappointment.
If they go 3-3, does he retire?
I don't see it. I don't see retirement at that. I see, what I see with a 3-3? I see an idea of, what? I gotta take one more shot at this. We gotta find a way. Yes, I think that this is something that we were, regardless of this year's decision, very, very close to having happen. Yeah, this is something that Bjergsen did talk about having considered for a while now. This isn't something that just came up this year, this idea, this motion that you could have through. But at the end of the day, I absolutely do believe that we're talking a different scenario with a 3-3 TSM Worlds record. That's not the case. That's not what happened.
It definitely wasn't the case.
We are living in the reality where Bjergsen has decided to step away from the playing days and move towards the coaching world.
And in hindsight now, you see the Bjergsen retirement. It makes sense. I understand why he chose to do it. And if you gave me all three of these options happening, I still think the Rekkles one would be the most insane and the most difficult for me to wrap my head around. And it still kind of is. Don't get me wrong. I see why he did it. He wants to win a world championship and feels like G2 is the best option. Good for him for taking a calculated risk like Caps did a couple of years ago. But the face of the rivalry on the opposite side, Fnatic G2 has been the rivalry in the competitive scene for 2 years now, ever since Caps came over. And for Rekkles to go over to G2, I didn't think it would be possible.
And especially you didn't think it'd be possible given that Rekkles, he was Mr. Fnatic. He was the face of the organization.
For 5 years.
Let alone the face of their League of Legends team. He's the face of Fnatic. When you would think of Fnatic across all esports, one of the big names, the picture you see, Rekkles with his tattoos doing the tough photo. That's what you're thinking, my man. You're thinking of him representing that orange and black. And he switches sides, and not just switching sides over to the rivals, the ones that have been memeing,
Dark Rekkles,
pushing you. It is the dark timeline. We got Dark Rekkles, and we got G2 with the best ADC in all of Europe.
What color's Rekkles dyeing his hair next split, you think? Red? Just full black, jet black?
I'm going the color of green. He's going all out with Ocelot for the cash, my man.
And listen, I actually like the video that Fnatic did with him where it wasn't just a montage of his best moments. He was openly speaking about it. He had nothing but high praise for Fnatic as an organization and how they treated him over the years. But he basically gave his thoughts on why he went over there. And I understand it. But to me, this is still the most insane move of the offseason. And it's right up there with Caps leaving and Perkz role swap.
Yeah, and one of the best things, though, when you look at this move, and as you talked about with the Fnatic video, and the way that I think even G2, surprisingly, the way in class that they were able to handle this type of announcement delicately was really well done from the two organizations. But especially when you're moving forward, you're having Rekkles on G2, the shock of this type of move. As you said it, one of the things, and I think you can say this about all three of these moves, that once you really examine it, you can kind of step back and understand them a little bit more. With the Rekkles one, as you said, he laid it all out, why his decision was to change sides, what he was going for, what is his motivation, and it's winning the very biggest trophy in all of esports and all of League of Legends, getting that world championship. That's what it's about, and I don't think there's anybody, even the most diehard of Fnatic fans, that could look Rekkles in the eye and say, you know what? You don't deserve that shot. You don't deserve to make that decision. Nobody would be saying that.
If the LEC is smart, they revamp their trophy this year and make it bigger than the Summoner's Cup so that when G2 wins, they can say, see, you got the biggest trophy. There you go. It's bigger than the Summoner's Cup. That's what they should be looking to do.
That's what it's all about, baby. The big trophies.
It's just all about how big it is. The last one we talked about, or we didn't talk about, Perkz. Now, this is crazy, of course. The icon of G2 leaving, he's been there since the beginning. Sure, Rekkles was the face of Fnatic, but remember, it was Soaz, Expeke, Yellow Star that really built that brand up, and Rekkles absolutely carried the torch through. But Perkz built. He helped build G2 to what it was alongside Ocelot. But you step back, and this move, honestly, it makes sense for me. If G2 didn't even want to talk to Fnatic, let them talk to Perkz, which is insane now that Rekkles went over to G2. But if he's not getting on Fnatic to rival G2, where else is he going to go on EU? Is he going to be able to compete for a title? Probably not. Go to NA? Okay. Oh, Cloud9, instantly the favorites to win the split.
It is absolutely, of the three, I think this is the one that you can really, even at face value, initially understand, given what a lot of people would know from following the LEC and following Perkz with G2, is realizing that, you know what, as well as this experiment, as well as this sacrifice to play the ADC role so we can have Caps with the G2 roster, you can have that, generational talent as your mid laner there. Well, Perkz is kind of also that generational talent as a mid laner, just a different style, a different result that you can get. And at the end of the day, there's no way that he is satisfied or fulfilled enough playing that ADC role, whether that's what that says about the ADC role now. In Riot Games, I'll let you figure that one out. But Perkz can't stand it anymore, and he wants to go right back to the mid lane, which everybody can understand that type of move. You can understand your best buddy wanting to say, you know what, I don't want to play this role anymore. I want to play something a little bit more exciting, a little bit more impactful. Mid lane's where you got to go, my man. And if you want to play mid lane in the LEC, well, that changes things for Carlos, because, well, if you're not playing mid lane for G2 esports,
I don't want to go against you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where you start to have the discussions for NA. And of course, Cloud9, a wonderful opportunity to become obviously the best team, reunite with Sven. All these other things go into motion and land into place. That's why I think out of the three, this one to me is the most believable. It's just behind the Bjergsen one, where you could see the path and understand retirement was coming soon for him, and a transition into coaching does make a lot of sense. But out of the three, you're looking at this and you got to still be thinking of the Rekkles move to G2. I'm still struggling to come to complete terms that is what we're looking at for next year.
That announcement video was weird, man. Seeing him in a G2 jacket, it's still too fresh for me.
I gotta say, the marketing's there. Hey, you know that they're gonna be pumping G2 esports shop for sure. But hey, Rekkles wearing that G2 merch looks good, my man.
And the Perkz thing, I like to compare it. When Power of Evil left and came in 2018 to North America, I feel like that was one of the first big sellout moves that people called, going to NA for cash because that's when franchising started. And, guys like Jensen and Bjergsen didn't come to NA for cash. Jensen wasn't even on a team, and Bjergsen was on a terrible team. So it wasn't for cash. It was just an upgrade. But PoE was on a good Misfits team, came to Optic to cash out. Well, Perkz, Power of Evil, he's not a villain. He's a nice guy. People had the PoE, he's the villain. He's a nice guy. Perkz, that's a villain. And he loves being a villain. Coming over to Cloud9, he's already talking trash that he's going to annihilate. And he's even in some of these videos, he's saying, Fudge, I don't know anything about you. Hopefully you're good. If you're not good, I'll just play top. And Fudge had a fantastic reply to that, by the way. So good for him for stepping up to Perkz.
Hey, you got to love that type of environment coming over. And one of the best things, as you said, that Perkz is going to come over. And unlike Power of Evil, yes, the initial, power of then put the # evil, sellout coming over to NA, put some respect on what Power of Evil has done to stay in the region, what he's had to put up with.
He hasn't been in a retirement home, I'll tell you that much.
Absolutely, and the results that he's been able to put up himself. When you're talking about Perkz and the villain role coming over to North America, yeah, he's going to fill that absolute diabolical villain role and take pleasure in laughing at the pain and suffering of the other teams and their fan bases in the LCS. But one of the key things to remember, when you get a true, genuine, strong villain, it always leads to a hero rising up to take them down. And that's going to be the exciting thing. Who's it going to be? Which NA mid is going to rise to the challenge and become the Dark Knight for the rest of the LCS to take down Perkz and C9?
It's a good chance it's going to be an EU mid playing in NA. Either the Jensen or Power of Evil, right? Most likely. But yeah, Perkz, the entire plot line throughout the LCS season is going to be Perkz versus North America. And you know what? It's a pretty damn good story. So I'm not even mad if the LCS milks that one absolutely to death, which, that they probably will with every single one of their teasers. So these are the 3 headlines, crazy things that have happened so far in the offseason. But we're still waiting on some big names, especially on the Eastern scene of things in the LCK and the LPL. Mainly, the big names we're waiting on are 3/5 of Griffin still. We know Tarzan is probably going to the LPL. That's pretty much confirmed. We don't know which team yet. We thought Lahen's, Viper, and Chovy might be reunited on Hanwha Life, but now Hanwha Life is signing guys like Morgan in support. There's rumors that Lahen's and Viper are going to be going to the LPL, which means we might not be getting that reunion. And Afrika Freaks are still one of the teams that are linked to Chovy signing there, pairing him up with Keen. Or you got a KT one that people are hoping for.
I'm hearing rumors that, and again, rumors that they're looking to swing for the fences. The KT roster revamp that everybody wants to see. You're going to get the combination powers of Nuguri and Chovy. That's the big rumor, the big signing, the big swing for the fences move that I'm hearing from KT roster. I got no idea on a percentage here for you guys.
They got the money to do that. They got the money.
They got the money. The question is, are they going to be spending that type of money, making that type of commitment, getting the players in? They made the decision to separate from a lot of the players that they had this past year, those contracts, and this is certainly a good dream for a lot of people trying to see KT roster climb to the back to the top of the table again.
Yeah, and whichever team Chovy goes to, just give my man, another piece or two. If he's on Afrika, you get Keen there. Okay, that's a hell of a solo lane combo. You're talking about immediately top 3 in the entire league when it comes to top and mid. So we'll see what Afrika or KT can do, because those are the 2 rosters that are, playoff teams we've been seeing the last couple of splits that are very wide open. KT literally let go of everybody, including Aiming, who's going over to the LPL, which is a little sad.
Yeah, and that Aiming one going back to the LPL, that's one I would have liked to see stick out in the LCK a little more. I think that he was having a phenomenal year.
We were talking about him for MVP through half the split.
Right, the numbers that he was able to put up, what he was able to do in some of those team fights really was special. So obviously wish him the best of luck wherever he's going to land. But as you said, one of the options of, possibly having Chovy with Afrika Freaks, but man, call Tarzan up, get him off of whatever flight he's going to be going over to the LPL on, and say, man, I've got Keen in the top side. I'm going to be your mid laner. Come to Afrika Freaks, baby.
And then Viper and Lehen say, oh man, maybe the LCK isn't looking so bad, actually. Imagine Griffin with Keen in the top lane, Mark.
Oh, man. Please.
What could have been back in 2018, 2019. More LCK stuff. It sounds Scout, who obviously is Korean, played in the LCK before from EDG. Sounds like he might be shopping around. The rumors again, all these are rumors so far. Nothing confirmed whatsoever. But Scout, you've seen 2 teams he's been linked to, and that's KT. So if they don't land the Chovy sweepstakes, maybe they settle for Scout. Also a pretty damn good main laner. And also Gen G, which doesn't really make sense to me unless Gen G's getting rid of BDD, and I don't know why they would do that.
Yeah, the Gen G one, I'm not buying, my man, but the KT one, I can absolutely see. As we said, rumors about an idea of swinging for the fences with Chovy and Nuggery. That's unlikely in any type of odds to talk about. Scout is quite a good backup plan to have in mind.
And that's like 3 teams now Nuggery is linked to, re-signing with Damwon, going to T1, and going to KT. So I still feel like he's just going to stick it out with Damwon. I don't know why you wouldn't, unless, money does talk. And if you've already got a world championship, just give me the money, man.
Unless we're getting a spicy partnership, unless we're getting a full-on transition with someone like Chovy, stick with Damwon. Let's see them go at it again.
A couple other big ones. GA going to JDG within the LPL. That would be, I think you would say that's an upgrade over Yagao, even though Yagao has some moments where he's incredible. I think you'd be more confident with GA in the mid lane, and JDG would only get scarier.
For what JDG wants to do, for how they want to evolve and become a better team than what they showed this year, someone replacing Yagao with someone like Xie absolutely steps up into that plate for me. The carrying level, the pop-off performance that you can get from Xie, I think does outweigh what I would say maybe was a more balanced year of performance from Yagao. I still think with what JDG can offer, what the rest of the players can cover for if you're making this type of move and changing the balance of mid, I like it. I like this move. I'm a fan of Xie, and I think that he could get something special done with the crew on JDG.
Absolutely, and we already know how lethal of a team they were last year with Yagao in that mid lane. The last one I want to touch on, it's a fan favorite. We know Bang has been homesick for a while from Korea in North America. He's linked to going back to the LCK, not linked to any teams yet, but if he wants to keep playing professionally, Aiming's going to the LPL, Viper might be going to the LPL, Mystic's future is kind of up in the air, sounds like he might be retiring. You're telling me Bang couldn't get a spot on some team in the LCK? Of course he could.
I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people that would look at this negatively or maybe cast doubt on Bang's abilities for an LCK starting spot, they'd be doing a disservice to just how much it seemed that Bang was affected by the North American, let alone lifestyle, but everything that goes on with solo queue here and some of the things dropped in the gaps. It seemed like just what his experience was here in North America from the start was never really going to provide the best opportunity to see what you wanted to see from Bang, and the performance is why you really pay that money to bring him over to the LCS. I'd love to see a redemption chance back in the LCK. And I think absolutely, as you said, given the way that the market has gone and some of these players moving on, there absolutely should be an opening on one of these squads for someone like Bang. It's whether that's the opportunity that he wants to take, because I've seen some people float around the idea of going back home and just taking a spot as a content creator with T1 on one of their rosters. Hey, I'd love to see some content again with Bang and Wolf with T1. That would be good for the T1 organization.
If he wants to, but he's still good enough to play.
And that's the important thing, though. As I said, as I mentioned that one, and even before it, there are still going to be opportunities and spots in the LCK that will be open at the ABC role this year, and how things have gone. Bang, I still think can perform at a level that is worth taking that risk.
And if you're telling me Bang was the one dragging down 100 Thieves and Evil Geniuses during his time, I'm closing the door and locking it on your face, man. I don't want to hear any of that. He was not the main issue on a lot of these rosters. One of the main issues with North America, though, is solo queue, as we've talked about and everyone has talked about roughly 365 times on any given year. But luckily, we have a savior for North America. We have a 2-time MVP, an MSI finalist, and the greatest AD carry in the history of Dignitas's organization. CoreJJ, our man, is hustling in the offseason to not only get his own practice in, but he's putting in the hours to single-handedly set up in-houses. He's getting coaches to do pick and bans. You had countless people praising him, including the Players Association president, Darshan, praising him for the effort that he's putting in. He's the savior of North America. That's it, Mark.
Hey, this is a man that said something needs to be done, and no one else is doing it. I'm going to do it my damn self. Come on, man. He's pulling the Thanos. He's getting that glove. He's getting that gauntlet ready, and he's going out to get those stones himself. He says NA's got to become a better region. One of the ways to do it, obviously, is these in-houses, is this practice, is getting better environment getting the better environment to practice on outside of NA solo queue. And my man taking it mostly on himself. Of course, there are others helping under this behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
But CoreJJ is a player, as someone who is not technically an NA resident, who comes over and says, look, I don't care what region you're saying I'm from. Right now, I'm playing in the NA region, and it's going to be my job, my objective to make it as best as I can to improve everybody, not just myself here in this region. My man, you love to see it from CoreJJ.
But when you see someone working this hard to set it up, while also, putting in the hours to be a professional player, if you're Riot, you got to put together a small team. What do you need? 5 people to just set up this realm that's for only pro players, incredibly high ELO, and just set up a solo queue for them so they don't have to go through this insane process.
Yeah, I think that's the next step, obviously, is having some more support for something like this. But even just at this point and recognizing what a player and other people and the players that are also playing in these in-houses as well does deserve something as far as anything. And look, even if you think that this is pathetic to talk about and praising someone for this type of effort, this hasn't been really done or put forward in NA before. So to even start at this point and to build off of this, I'm taking it, my man. And I think that you got to deserve some credit for it. And that's what CoreJJ and the rest are getting from us.
Now, what are the chances? What if CoreJJ is just setting this all up for the Fire YouTube content? Because he already made a video. He's got Captain Flowers casting the game. He's got a 10-minute highlight on his YouTube. Maybe he's just a content genius.
You can't improve NA without just getting a little bit of that NA flavor there, get some of that for fun content in, of course.
Yeah.
Look, if that's what it costs, if we're gonna have CoreJJ putting out some fire YouTube content, which shout out to CoreJJ's YouTube, that's pretty awesome stuff. But if he's putting out fire content and the side result is that North America gets better practice and becomes a better region, I'm still all here. I'm still all here for it, my man.
All of a sudden, 2 weeks before the season start, CoreJJ says, you know what, guys? I'm becoming a full-time streamer. This content is really blowing me up. I'm glad I set up the in-houses, but
I learned a lot from my time with Double Lift. I think it's time.
It's time to go full content creator. By the way, CoreJJ's YouTube is amazing, and the tutorials he did as a support, this guy's like the best content creator and one of the best players in North America. He's a hero.
If you're under gold, and I know there's a lot of you out there, if you're under gold in any type of ranking, I don't care what position you are, you can watch CoreJJ's video, and I promise you he will help you climb, my man. That is some good, solid...
Under Challenger, he'll help you.
And information that you can easily understand and implement into your practice starting right away. Shout outs to CoreJJ, my man.
CoreJJ, Bjergsen's out. You are now the king of North America. That's it today, though, for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you guys. As always, thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you guys and gals on that flippity flop.